Your favorite stupid minister. Your favorite stupid minister jana amesema hiyo documentary ya BBC ya Maimahiu is fake. But it's not the first time. Alisema hivyo kuhusu ya ile ya blood parliament. Yeah? The government also said it's fake. But what I don't understand ni alisema ni fake because none of the people that were interviewed on camera wenye walionyeshwa sura zao were minors. They were all adults. And he doesn't understand that for you to be filmed or photographed, you have to give consent. And thus, since hawa ni minors, hawana consent yao, because inafaa iende ipeanwe na wazazi and their guardians, so you cannot film them because they themselves being minors cannot consent. And I am left wondering, I could be wrong though, but still, to discredit the whole documentary because the people interviewed were not adults, were all adults, and you discredit that without even investigating. Going to the bottom of this is ridiculous. Doesn't make any sense. And in as much as Awatwambi, let's not fool each other. The documentary was filmed by Boniface Mwangi's wife, all right, Njeri Mwangi, and Boniface Mwangi is not a very good citizen according to them. He's not a friend of the government. So, well, we see why the documentary had to be framed for fake. It's because of the journalist, not the content of the documentary.
In Kenya, no one can hide from the DCI. All of us know that. So don't lie to us. Mwache kutuambia ati huyo mama amejificha. That Maimahiu saga is very, very serious. Stop making it look like a joke, bana. Denouncing it like that from the Interior Cabinet Secretary, it shows the level of incompetence. The level of they lack that intensity. They don't understand how the ground is. That is very, very bad, man. How can you say that was a play, bana? We all saw it. We all saw minors. You don't tell us that those were people over 18 doing a play. We all saw minors. We all saw the real deal. That was not play. That was not play. That was very keen investigation done. Kama nyinyi mwezi piga investigation kama hiyo mwachana na BBC bana. Jumina joyo ni kichele inaongea bana. How can you denounce such a serious case, a grievous case? You are protecting something that is insane. How can you do that? You are the Interior Cabinet Secretary and yet you are protecting child traffickers in your country. That is unacceptable bana. Bwana Murkomen bana, you need to wake up bana. This is getting out of hand. These people are controlling you, bana. You are the one who is supposed to be controlling things, bana. Not letting criminals go free. Murkomen, this is a shame, bana. It's a shame to Kenya. It's a shame to the police force. It's a shame to everything. Incompetence of the highest order.
Murkomen, I have one question for you. One question for you. How do you wear such madiganga expa hivi vyote but still kuna vile unakaa? Chani, you don't look nice. But I believe vichwa zingine hazienda nangi, because obviously ndani ziko empty.
You cannot believe what Murkomen has just said about the woman who was identified as the main suspect in the alleged sex trafficking saga in Maimahiu. Now listen to what Murkomen has said. He has said that this woman has been identified as Judith Nyambura Njoroge. Fine. Now, this woman, she was paid by the BBC crew to do that video, and she was promised other things, lifestyle changes and all those kinds of things. Then Murkomen goes ahead and tells us that this woman is in hiding and they don't know where this woman is. Murkomen, sometimes don't look at us like that. Venye unatuangalia, please mwache kutuangalia hivyo. Because this is now becoming even embarrassing. Now Murkomen again goes ahead and says that the people who were interviewed in that video were also promised some things, and they are not minors. At those people who are interviewed there, they are not minors. Of course, he has some right to say this because he's saying that they have done some investigation and the reports are out. And many people who are interviewed there, they are not minors. They are majors. They had reached the age of consent. But, Murkomen, this what you are doing is a face of incompetence. Mimi nitakwambia, this is a face of incompetence. Because you cannot tell me that even if these people have reached the age of consent, a trafficking ring just goes ahead under your watch, Murkomen. You cannot tell me the main suspect has not been arrested because she is in hiding. Now, the DCI, this is your responsibility. You should actually expedite this investigation and make sure that this woman is arrested. Kwanza, we want to hear from her. Tunataka kusikia alilipwa na watu wa BBC, na tunataka kujua what normally happens in Mai Mahiu from her. We can't live with incompetence day in, day out. Day in, day out. No.
The expose that was done by BBC African Eye about sex trafficking of underage girls at Mai Mahiu has been termed by the Interior CS Murkomen as fake, one big hoax, and nothing like that is happening at Mai Mahiu according to the investigations. In his statement, he went on to say that the people that were purported to be children in this said expose were actually not children. And from the investigations, they have discovered that these people are actually adults who are pretending to be children so that they could get money from the BBC after making the documentary. Yes, according to him, the BBC actually paid actors so that they could do the story, I guess. Anyway, they're still investigating, and this is a story we should look out for and see where it ends, because things are just interesting in this country. They've not found the madams. They're still looking for them. And yeah, when it comes to arresting young people on Twitter, they act very swiftly, but the madams cannot be found.
Believe it or not, the BBC has just responded directly to Murkomen that the BBC documentary expose that was done on the alleged sex trafficking saga is a hoax. Now, two things that you can get from that response from the BBC people is that, one, nobody was paid to do the documentary. That is one. It is not what Murkomen is saying. That is what the BBC is saying. That nobody was paid, contrary to the statements of what Murkomen said. Then number two, the BBC even submitted their investigations to the Kenya police in March. And this has posed a question. What is going on?
Beautiful morning, my brother. Trending this beautiful morning, it is BBC versus the government of Kenya. BBC versus the government of Kenya. Manake BBC walitoa ripoti yao pale kuhusiana na Mai Mahiu. Ndio. Ripoti ambayo iko titled Madam. Okay. Ilikuwa na expose kitu kinaitwa child sex trade. Wakasema kwamba kuna watoto kule maeneo ya Mai Mahiu. Ndio. Nao wanatumika vibaya kingono. Okay. Watoto ambao bado hawajatimiza miaka 18. Ndio. Jana Bwana CS Mchunga Murkomen ndio Interior ndio alikwenda katika parliament akaambia watu wa Kenya wote kwa ujumla hiyo ripoti ya BBC ni fake. Hiyo ripoti ni fake na ni fake news, na hakuna watoto ambao walikuwa wanatumika vibaya katika maeneo ya Mai Mahiu. Hao watu wote ambao walikuwa wanakuwa interview pale walikuwa ni watu wazima. Okay. BBC wamespond ndio wamespond asubuhi ya leo. Wakasema kwamba ni kweli kwamba wale watu walikuwa wanahojiwa, wale watoto wa kike pale walikuwa washapitisha miaka 18 ndio, lakini walikuwa wanaelezea story yao wakiwa watoto kwamba hii sex trade ilianza wakiwa wadogo, lakini wakihojiwa walikuwa ni watu wazima. Maana ukisikia ile story na ukitazama fresh ile feature ya BBC, yani ilikuwa inaashiria ni kana kwamba kuko na mchezo wa kucheza na watoto wadogo katika swala zima ya kingono upande wa Naivasha. Lakini kama wame clarify it's okay. It's okay. Manake waliohojiwa ni watu ambao ni miaka 18 na zaidi. Okay. Okay, so wamekubali BBC. Ndio sasa wame apologize because they need to apologize by the way. Na wamesema investigation zao zote walipeleka kwa polisi, ndio. Sema polisi wenyewe watachunguza kisha watatoa ukweli wa mambo. Complete tena zaidi. That's what's trending asubuhi hii.
That is to say, there may be no cases. He's saying that, okay, sure, there are probably cases of exploitation in the country, but the documentary that was put up was a hoax. Basically, that's what he's saying. And if you guys have caught that documentary, you've just seen glimpses of it or snippets on social media, it's heartbreaking. And one thing I just love to tell our politicians, if you talk about sensitive matters, tafadhali make sure you properly investigate before coming out and saying, hey, this is true or this is false. Because a documentary, a lot of work actually went into it. If you think about it, a lot of work, a lot of investigative journalism, but that's what he has to say. Lakini mimi wacha nikwambie, as an empath, I'd like, my friend, that's not what you're supposed to be saying. And I hope the Cabinet Secretary for Interior is actually, if he is right, then we'll apologize. But if he is wrong and he made those remarks, he better have an apology ready.
As far as the BBC documentary is concerned, it was a hoax. We are confirming from this report that, Mr. Speaker, the entire report was fake.
BBC Africa's Eye documentary, Madams, lifted the lead on how underage girls were being lured and exploited by criminal networks in Mahimahio, Nakuru County. After public outrage, Nakuru Governor Susan Kihika announced a special task force. Its job to investigate, rescue victims, and hand in findings by September. The Interior Ministry promised a special police unit to tackle trafficking, but that was then, and this is now. Online, the outrage was visible. A Twitter user said, our DCI is only professional in tracking tweets, but in serious crimes like organ trafficking and child sex trade, they draw a huge line. If we had a working system, then these women will be in prison for life. On Wednesday this week, Interior CS Kipchumba Murkomen threw a curveball. He dismissed the entire BBC expose as fabricated, accusing journalists of paid lies.
As far as the BBC documentary is concerned, it was a hoax.
And saying it was all based on falsified accounts. He claims some girls lied about their age to attract sponsorship by the BBC. Now, instead of justice for trafficked children, the focus has shifted to hunting down journalists. Let that sink in. Sindio, instead of rallying to rescue exploited minors, the government is attacking the media. The victims are still invisible. Accountability has evaporated. And the powerful perform a deflection act. The children can be sold with impunity, and the state is busy discrediting the truth, not protecting the vulnerable. What future are we building? Traffic today, silence tomorrow. And who stands up for them? Kamakawa, this has just been my personal opinion. Be sure to tell me what you guys think in the comments below. I've been your host, Shalom Karaoke, and this has been a recap. See you in the next one.
What is Kipchumba Murkomen protecting? For him to say that the BBC expose was a fake, was a hoax, who is he actually protecting? Because it doesn't make sense to me.
We are confirming from this report that, Mr. Speaker, the entire report was fake because the people who were interviewed were not underage.
How do you, as a Cabinet Secretary Interior, come to the Parliament, make fun of the fact that whatever was investigated by BBC is a hoax? Remember that this same BBC brought us Blood Parliament, and Blood Parliament 100% touched on the Ministry of Interior, which Kipchumba Murkomen is the one leading right now. And that begs the question, what if Kipchumba Murkomen wants to discredit what the BBC is doing in terms of investigation? From what you guys watched.
How old were you? I was 12 with him.
You tell me. Does it seem like it's far off from the truth? Does it mean that for 3 months that this expose was given to the police officers and to the investigative officers in Kenya, and they did nothing? Nothing. Now, Kipchumba Murkomen is coming and saying that they've been doing investigations for long, they've managed it, and therefore the BBC is lying to Kenyans.
The entire report was fake because the people who were interviewed were not underage.
I am lost for words. I watch this and I ask myself, what kind of government did we choose? What kind of cabinet secretary do we have as the cabinet secretary interior to discredit without giving any evidence? He just stands in front of parliament and talks and discredits something that people have taken time, months, to expose. They've sent investigators who have mingled and they have formed some bond with the people who are actually perpetrating this, to the extent where these people are open and free to share these stories.
How old were you? I was 12 with him.
She tried to run from abuse but was raped by a truck driver.
You tell me, who in their right mind would be exposed with a media house as big as BBC to come and lie to Kenyans in exchange of what?
Mr. Speaker, I went the whole length to read their names, their pseudonyms, Mr. Speaker, and who they are, what they do, and why, what was the motivating factor when they were posing as children.
For someone like Kipchumba Murkomen to come out and say that all this is a hoax, who is he protecting? Who in this line of traffickers is he protecting? Because that's the question I'm asking myself, because it had to make sense. Because there's no way he would come out without evidence and just blanket the whole expose and say that this is all a hoax. So does it mean if you are overage and this happens to you, and trafficking happens even to people who are overaged, it doesn't mean that trafficking stops at the age of 18? So does it mean that even if these kids were over 18, it means nothing? It's now a fake because they are not underage girls. I'm actually very disappointed by you, Mr. Kipchumba Murkomen. I think you should take your docket very seriously and you should take the lives of Kenyans very seriously. It doesn't mean that if an expose happens in your ministry, then it's a fake. You don't have to discredit it. Use it as a weapon, use it as a tool that has been handed over to you for free. There is something going on and it is upon us to find out what that is.
Murkomen, I think you are the best example of bad leadership. You are the best example of failure. Kama leo niliona umeulizwa na Wamushomba a very simple question. Yule mtu aliua watu wa Kwale, yule mtu mlishika mkapeleka pale police cell, then mkasema amepotea. Kwa nini hamjamshika? And your answer was government imelemewa. So nikuulize Murkomen, kwani government ulemewa tu kushika wauaji, lakini haijailemewa kuabduct wasi? Haijailemewa kushika mwananchi wa kawaida wakati ana demonstrate? Na haijailemewa kuhangaisha kama watu wa opposition wakienda rally zao? Kwani mkono yenu ukuwa fupi wakati tu wananchi wanawahitaji, lakini nyinyi wakati mnahitaji wananchi muwadhurumu, mkono yenu ni mrefu sana. Murkomen, you are the best example of failure. In fact, mi leo nikaulizwa nipe one of the best example of a bad example, nitasema ni Murkomen. You are one of the best examples of a bad example. Hiyo mmeshika hapo. Na tunasema ni one time siku zombo, si ndio? One time siku zombo.
It's only in African countries where such narratives still play part in politics. You'll hear your politicians saying things like, God is the one who chooses your leaders. Your leaders are chosen by God. Have you ever seen God queuing to go cast a vote? Have you ever? It has never happened and it will never happen. So we need to move away from these barbaric beliefs and start thinking for ourselves.
To those who believe politics doesn't affect them, I hope today has taught you how politics affect you directly.
Ruto simpigi kura. Amenajisi inchi. Bila kutumia hata kondom.
This is Selector Dede.
Wanadhani asibongolala, ikikupita we bongolala, na walosema jana iwezi fika leo, tuko ground tunazoza. Hatujikuku mewaka sana, na mabisto na chafua raga, na walosema jana iwezi fika leo, tuko ground tunazoza. hakuna mboga, peleke shuleni watasoma, madaktari wamegoma, hapo sani Yesu atatuponya. Wambie punde imechoka sana, farasi bado ijapatikana, ni mandai wanagonya na mali wanaponda, unakonda wananona. Maandamano, 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 amise maandamano, 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 maandamano.
Jam down shuffle.